I now invite Ms. Bipanshi Tamuli to commence the discussion.
Hello. So, good morning, everyone. So, let's begin this session. Welcome. So, let me start by naming the session first, from local to global, scaling social impact from Eastern Himalaya. So, we are here to explore ideas that the Eastern Himalaya is not just a landscape to be saved, but it's a solution powerhouse for the world. So our focus is very clear: identify real grounded models from this region that can scale, whether in conservation, food system, youth scaling, or even forest governance, that what will take and move those success stories and become those global reference points. If you're working in policy, research, livelihoods, or community action, the conservation is about turning a good project into a global playbook, positioning the Eastern Himalaya as a global center for nature-positive development. So the question here is no longer can this work, it's about how far this can travel everywhere, making it from local to global. So if I have the floor, can I start my questioning round? Yeah. So I'd like to start with Mr. Chimin Rijin. Sir, so we know Bhutan is globally recognized for community-led conservation. So in your opinion, which elements of Bhutan's model are most scalable for the other mountain nations? Sir, if you mind elaborating on that.
First of all, thank you to the management as well as Balipara Foundation. Just wanted to say that today is the International Mountain Day, and I think it's a fitting moment for us to discuss the issue that you just mentioned.
Yes, sir.
That's number one. Number two, I again want to thank the management of the university for making me part of the tree plantation. I never expected that. It was a big surprise. I think it kind of marks the moment of how significant today is in my life as well. So that being said, I think we all know about conservation. If you look at history, if you read history of the evolution of conservation, you would notice that it started from the establishment of Yellowstone National Park in the 1800s, right? So it was basically based on fortress conservation, as we call it. So it was basically focused on excluding people, protecting certain species of importance, be it forest, be it animal, and it was purely based on regulation, right? A police kind of a mindset. So that's how conservation evolved. It's not to say that we never had the practice of conservation, traditional knowledge and everything. It was there, but basically that's how it started. Bhutan basically started conservation in the mid 60s, 60s, 70s. That was the period. And when Bhutan started the conservation program, there was a single focus in mind. The question surrounding that focus was, why are we doing conservation? That was number one. Number two, for whom we are doing the conservation. And number three, most importantly, is how do we do conservation so that it has relevance. So in answering that question, there was a clear focus of making sure that conservation has a human purpose. And that is why in Bhutan, the moment we started conservation program, it was never about excluding people. It was never about uprooting the people and sending it to other areas. It was never about creating a special reserve forest or a special sanctuaries where people cannot go. It was never about creating a space for elite individuals to go and experience and enjoy. And that decision was a conscious decision, and it was based on the fact that people had a century of relationship with nature. So when I say about, it was created for the purpose of human being, it basically means to say that we, government recognized, the leadership recognized that people had that intimate relationship with nature. People knew the nature. So it was basically how conservation would serve the purpose of people, right? So in doing so, it's not only nature serving the people or nature needing the people, but at the same time, it was also a question of addressing, people needing the nature. So that was the premises on which, Bhutan's conservation pillar was, based. And that's also one of the reasons I would say that there was a lot of acceptance from the communities, from the people, and that's why we are successful. So that was history. And of course, if you look at the current constitutions, the legal document, it all has, a constitution mandates our forest to be 60% in perpetuity. No matter what, at any given time, it has to be 60%. And in the constitution, it's very clear that it is the people, who are the custodian of the nature, forest. So basically, constitution giving that exclusive right to the communities and then people on the ground. So I think that sort of enforces communities to take the responsibilities, but at the same time, it enforces government to make sure that community has a space, has a role to play in conservation. And of course, if you look at the evolution of community forest on practical terms, it has been decentralized. There are so many community forests, which is not to say that India doesn't have or other countries doesn't have, but that has been one of the areas of importance where communities have used that. Of late, of course, we are going beyond protected areas. We are looking at areas where communities have associated, historically, culturally, and how do we designate that as a high conservation value areas so that, it has economic significance, at the same time, it has, cultural and spiritual significance. But bottom line, I would say, is how we approach development itself. It was never about excessive consumption-based, economy. So consciously, it was about GNH. I mean, like many of you must have looked at it. So our GNH, let's say, overarching development policy of GNH basically determines the paradigm of development. How should we take development? If you look at the policy of royal government of Bhutan, many policies, each policy has to be screened through the lens of GNH. There are several criteria. If any policy fails to achieve a standard score of, let's say, 80%, the policy is basically reverted back to the proponent, who is proposing the policies. And the review is impartial, independent. It goes to a series of, individuals, not known to the proponent. So, so I would say that, these are some of the policy premises or conscious decisions and the recognition of nature and its relationship with people. I think that has really helped Bhutan to achieve where we are today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, the mentions that you have curated have been impeccable. So we understand it is, after all, for the people. So my next question would be to Anuja ma'am. So ma'am, since we're talking about Bhutan and the Eastern Himalaya, so how can indigenous food systems from Bhutan and the Eastern Himalaya inspire the global agroecological transitions? If you can elaborate on that.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Balipara, for having me again. When you talk of the indigenous food system, I'd like to echo on what Dr. Dhawan said in the morning session, where indigenous knowledge, it's embedded in us, Eastern Himalayas. We have been practicing since time immemorial. But I think we lost somewhere during the course of time. And when we look at the modern food system, it's highly unsustainable, and it has a huge contribution to greenhouse gases and loss of biodiversity. So I think it's very important that we bring in this indigenous food system here, because when you look into the indigenous food system, it's highly sustainable. It contributes to the biodiversity conservation almost to the 80%, and also it contributes to the diverse diet. So I think it's very important to achieve this food security. We need to acknowledge the contribution of indigenous food system. And like Bhutan or the Eastern Himalaya, we share the ecosystem, the food culture, the practices. So I think we should promote those practices. And some of the practices that I see in indigenous food system are like one very good example. Yesterday also I talked about the seed saving practices where we need to, I think, invest on the seed practices, not just the banking on those gene bank. We need to bring in the community. Like Chimi sir mentioned, you really have to work with the community to understand and bring in those knowledge to achieve this, whatever we like, the climate resilient or the practices or the sustainable food system to have food and nutrition security for all time. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's right. It's about the community. See, scaling is not just about making things bigger. It's about growing without losing the identity and the community ownership. So I'll just revert back to a different section and have my question to Monica, ma'am. So, ma'am, during your service time, so what frontline forest governance models from Assam do you think have strong potential for national and global replication?
Thank you, Bipanchi, and good afternoon, everyone. So I would say, I am strictly speaking from my practical experience. When I say this Eastern Himalayan biodiversity hotspot or Assam in general is a living classroom. It was, I had come from a majorly urban background from the southern part of India. And when I had come here, and from my experience as a forest manager, I would say that most of the solutions which the world is searching for in terms of conservation or in terms of sustainable livelihood are all woven into the knowledge of the people here. So it lives in the people, either the people who follow the rhythms of the rain here, or my frontline staff who read the forest like a map, and all those communities who have protected nature here. So when it comes to the frontline governance models, Assam has in fact been involved with the communities for forest management and governance since long, be it the joint forest management committees or the eco development committees, which I think
yes,
you are working with. So one such initiative was the Sahitya Manishi Upavan, which was created in many districts in Assam a few years ago. So here, what we had done was, it was completely dependent on the local community's knowledge on the different indigenous species found in Assam, which had medicinal value and which was not known to the public. So these, they were accumulated in an area, something called sample plots, probably most of the researchers here would know. And they are being developed into that kind of a sample forest or sample plots. So this gives knowledge, or that, generational knowledge which is lost, we are trying to bring it back. And one more governance model which is a huge success and which is being recognized in the other parts of the country now is the way Assam is handling its human-elephant conflict. You know, and I think everybody here knows the scale of conflict that is present in Assam today. But at the same time, I would say that we are also the most successful state in handling the conflict. Now again, here we are not implementing any high-tech solutions with so many drones in the sky, nothing like that. All we are doing is we are dependent on the knowledge of the frontline guards and the community. They read the movement of the elephant. They understand the movement of elephants, which they have learned from their childhood. And with that, they are trying to drive away the elephants from the human inhabited spaces and provide a safe space for the community and also a safe space for the animals also. So this, in fact, now many other states are coming to Assam to learn, and I think this is one governance model which can be scalable.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, it's been right, like how human-elephant conflict has been a prior concern in Assam, and we've used a community-blended solutions to overcome that. And one of that part we have some local sustainable livelihood initiatives that we have come up so that the retaliatory actions from the community towards the wildlife is not prevalent, because we don't want that since under Wildlife Protection Act. So let's revert back. So since we're talking about the models, the overview, and the people, community, so now I would like to have some practical knowledge from Mahesh sir. Sir, I would like to ask, what skill frameworks are mostly urgent, needed to prepare the youth for the green, blue, and regenerative economies?
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you for the Balipara Foundation for inviting me here in this August panel. If you want to prepare youth of the Northeast for the emerging green, blue, and regenerative economies, then you have to connect your youth with the skills. Somehow you have to identify the natural resources, and you have to transform these natural resources into the futuristic jobs. If you talk about the green, the skills or the green, the economy, one of the area that is solar installation and maintenance. One of the biggest area, and you all knows, the Assam is the biggest market in the solar installation. If you talk about, the energy efficient, the housing using the bamboos, it one of the biggest industry, maybe in the future, there are a lot of jobs are available in this particular sectors. The another one that is a climate, the smart agriculture, especially in the tea gardens. So these are the green skill where the jobs are available. If we talk about the blue economy, that is the skills in fishery management, the skill in sustainable aquaculture, even the river transport, river tourism. Here I want to say one thing, the river Brahmaputra himself is the biggest source of the job employment, because in this river we can arrange so many activities, just like water sports and the other the adventure sports also. So maybe in the future the student, they can get the skills in this particular area. If we talk about the regenerative skills or circular economy, that one of the area that is waste to wealth management or entrepreneur. Now waste to wealth means now how we the plastic wastage to be converted in the housing materials. How we use the wastage of the bamboos into the handicraft. Now these kind of the areas, maybe in the future we'll get jobs. One more thing I want to say here, that is, besides all these technical things, the digital awareness is required. GIS or drone mapping, it is very useful for flood forecasting. It is very useful for the wildlife protection. It is useful for the community, the services or community development programs. So if the student learn all these skills, definitely they will get a job in these particular areas. I want to say one thing here. We all are in Amrit Kal period. Amrit Kal period means it's the last 25 years to be celebrate the 100th year of the independence by 2047. And this Amrit Kal opened, the windows of the opportunity for all of us. In this particular time, our productive population, a productive workforce is more than the dependent population. The productive population means the age more than the 14 years, less than 65 years, and dependent population means less than 14 years or more than 65 years. So now in this time, our productive population is more than the dependent population, even around 70%. Now, if 70% population, if they contribute in the national economy, definitely our GDP will increase. But the problem is only that how you connect your youth with the skills. And it is not possible, we send the student from the small state or the small towns to big cities. Somehow we have to identify the local product here so we can explore the opportunities, right? We can explore the jobs for them. So this.
Thank you so much, sir. So it's been insightful, and actually, I'm just liking the panel. It has been so diverse, and discussion have been so exciting. I want to take part of it, but I'll just move to our next speaker. So, ma'am, Sujata, ma'am, we know Sikkim's organic horticulture transition is globally recognized. So, what core elements of this model can be replicated in other mountain regions to strengthen climate-resilient livelihoods? And it's very similar to the question I've asked, sir. Ma'am, would you continue?
Thank you, Bipanji ji. Thanks to Balipara Foundation and Assam Royal Global University for inviting me, and thanks for the nice question. So we all know that Sikkim is being known for being the organic state. So as the core elements are being talked about, so there are a number of core elements which strengthen it. However, the first point which I would like to say, that being proud of what we have. So Sikkim, like if we talk in terms of our agricultural and horticultural practices, so Sikkim has the, it is not only like this that it is not existing in other states, but regarding the agricultural and horticultural practices, one of the strength points is farmer-producer organizations which act as cooperatives, and the collective marketing for products like large cardamom and other products, they are done. Some other strength points are like this, that what I have visited and seen, that some of the farm schools are run in association or support, with the support of the government only. Like I will elaborate it a little for our students and other audience who may or may not know much about it. So like one farmer may be made the lead farmer. Some crops may be given to that farmer and training may be provided. And that farm school at the place of one farmer may be run for nearly 1 year. That farmer becomes a lead farmer. Then several other farmers near to that farmer, they would also join in the farming of that particular crop. The benefit of this is that there may be more production, there may be cluster farming, which increases the produce from that particular zone. Now, coming to my next point, that importance to the indigenous varieties or indigenous crops or species. Like I am basically from the area of fruit science, and I have been working in the indigenous, mainly on the indigenous fruit crops and species of the region, and nutritional profiling and making other post-harvest products. All these things I have been involved. So what happens when we use the indigenous varieties? No doubt they are more adapted to the climatic conditions. Many of the times they have the genes for disease tolerance, and if we strengthen these indigenous varieties, they are not only important for us, and I would recommend that if many of these indigenous fruit species, vegetable species, all these, if they could be introduced to other states also, like in not only in Sikkim, in other northeastern states also, we have observed that a number of diverse fruit species, vegetable species, number of them they exist. Like if I take name of Maliro, people at Assam they may know, but as I belong from Varanasi, at my place people may not know that Maliro, is it a fruit? Oh yes, it is a fruit. And we can make a very good jam or sauce and ketchup out of it. Then why not to make various kind of products and sell it and popularize it in other states, try to make efforts to introduce them to other parts of the country. And some other strength points are like this, that strength on the traditional irrigation systems, which are gravity driven, like contour trenches, making water harvesting structures are there. Then we have Sikkim has got the geographical indication, that is GI tag for Dalle chili and this temi tea. So it adds value to that product. That product reaches to the international market. People at other places, they know about it. So why not the other states try to replicate such kind of things? Then protection of plant varieties under PPVFRA. The efforts on maintenance of community seed banks. Like if we talk about the seeds which have developed, many of the communities, they have conserved the seeds for centuries, for several generations. So that also adds beauty to the Sikkim's organic mission. No doubt any effort without the government support is not possible. Sikkim has traditionally been organic. Traditionally or culturally, the use of fertilizers was less, and several initiatives have been taken, like there exists a problem of plant protection, that is diseases and pests may arise when we are not using any chemicals. Then in that case, we have gone to the biopesticides and the solutions which are organic. The main challenge for the organic farming is like this, that we need to produce the organic seeds also, because what we are going for the organic and the seed is inorganic. So efforts, they need to be done in this direction also. Like we talk about large cardamom, ginger, and there is a lot of diversity exists in pulses also. We talk about citrus, lot of citrus diversity exists in the north, not only in Sikkim, but the northeastern region of the country. And there is a lot of potential to it. And if we talk about the I think I talked about farmer producer organizations. So so we talk about the livelihood opportunities and options. Like one example I would like to give, that diversification in the livelihood opportunities. I would give one example of Azing's farm at West Sikkim, now in the Soreng district. So it is something kind of ecotourism kind of place where we can go, we can stay, we can see that how we can have a very good honey made from the native bee species. We can have a very good wine prepared from, I don't take, sorry, so but others who take, they can enjoy it. So a lot of things a person can see. So such kind of efforts can be done in other states also, that such kind of farms can be made. Like I belong from Varanasi, so one example only nearby, I know it is in Mirzapur district, Jalan's farm is there. Jalan is a big businessman. They have a number of cloth stores and a number of stores all through our city. So such kind of initiatives can be taken. If somebody is coming, why to go to a hotel? Hotel I can find everywhere through the country. I can go to a homestay. I can go to a place like this. I can say that like Azing's farm. Emphasizing on the indigenous things and the things which have been conserved for the traditions. Like I would like to talk about Sri Jordan Lepchaji, who is Padma Shri awardee. And he got Padma Shri for conserving the traditional Lepcha hat. So this kind of efforts can be done in the other states also, that we can emphasize on our own things. So when we are talking about the various this thing, then water conservation structures, I think I already talked. There are the efforts on participatory variety trials also. There are policies and institutional support, and the value chains and post-harvest infrastructures, they are being strengthened in the state of Sikkim. And one more important point I would like to highlight, which is very, very important, like in Sikkim, what it has been 15 years of working in Sikkim for me, being a person from plain and working in a hill place. So what I observed that the women play a great role in farming, which I have observed. It exists in literature. It exists in actual also. I have seen daughter-in-laws working in the field, and they are playing an equal and critical and crucial role in taking the home decisions, the farming decisions, and participating in it equally. So that also adds beauty to it. And other states also, they are working, but they should also work in this direction. Like in the prior session also, there was a thing by ma'am that on role of women was highlighted. So that also is one of the beauty of Sikkim's farming. There are efforts on protected cultivation, like polyhouses, low cost, low cost polyhouses are made, which protect the plants from heavy rains. Like Sikkim is a place of high rainfall. Its rainfall spans nearly around 8 months of a year, more than 2500 millimeter. So what if a heavy rainfall comes? Then the structured polyhouses in low cost, they can be done in other parts of the country also. The strength to the medicinal and aromatic plants, orchid diversity is there, and this large cardamom, ginger, Sikkim mandarin, all these crops, they are one of the uh, important identity of the state of Sikkim. And government is also working in the direction that they can provide the support to the extent whatever they can. And various farmers training programs are also organized. And I can just take a minute more, Bipanchi ji. So, like if we talk about avocado, one of the very important crop which we mainly import from the other countries, other places, a lot of avocado diversity exists in the northeastern region. Sikkim is also a place where avocado is found, and local species of avocado also exists along with the Hess and Furtive varieties. And one crop, that is broom grass, that is Thysanolima maxima. So broom grass is also found all through the state, and it can be strengthened. Like recently, I have given a master's dissertation to one of my students on strawberry and broom grass intercropping. So no such kind of effort has been done earlier. So I am just trying in this direction that if we can make it successful, and it has a lot of values. Broom grass, it exists as a trap crop also. So a lot of diversity exists in the northeastern region. And this, if we talk about livelihood, then mushroom cultivation is also promoted in the state. This apiculture, beekeeping, and these things which I have seen, and this some at some places like fish farming, and the importance to the agroforestry, like elder-based agroforestry system is important in the northeastern part of our country. And I think I would like to end at this point to the question, because a number of things are there, but we should respect the time also. So thank you for the question. I tried my best to cover the
Yes,
points.
ma'am, it's been very
Okay,
insightful.
okay,
We got an
okay,
in-depth
okay.
like
Thank you.
information on the
Thank you.
agricultural
Thank you.
practices.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So since we're talking about the agriculture indigenous food, so I just have a brief question for Anuja, ma'am. Ma'am, so what role do you think local crops, fermentation traditions, and community farming systems play in climate resilience?
When you talk about those local crops, like Dr. Sujata already mentioned, the importance of indigenous varieties. They are locally adapted. The seeds has been selected over the generations, and they are resistant to all climate shocks. So I think it's very important that we preserve those traditional crops. And in addition to what those the traditional crops contribute, I mean the role of a traditional crop in related to climate resilience, it also contributes to the diversity in our diet. When you look currently, 50% of calories come just from the wheat, maize, and rice. But when you look into the Eastern Himalaya, we have the whole mosaic of different varieties of crops. And I think it's really important that we bring in all those crops, like Dr. Sujata mentioned. It's very important to bring in there, promote through value addition or whatever the practices that we can do it. In addition to that, the fermentation is one of the oldest food preservation method. We all know that. And when you look at the fermentation in the Eastern Himalaya, we have varieties of fermented food products, which are a staple diet for many communities in this region. So when you talk about this fermentation, it not only improve the nutrition and palatability of that product, it also prevents the post-harvest losses, which is very, very important. And also when during the climate shock or disaster, if we promote the fermentation, we bring in those traditional knowledge, promote those fermented food products, it ensures food and nutrition security all time. And apart from there, I see fermentation a very good area in we still need to explore, where we can isolate the native microorganism from our fermented food and upscale in the production of different fermented food products. Those native microorganisms could be locally adapted, which can be used with our local varieties of crop, produce all those food products. In terms of community, I think we have already touched upon on the watershed management. These are some of the practices, the irrigation, traditional irrigation system that we need to promote, and also we need to preserve those practices. And in addition to that, we also talk about the biopesticides, biofertilizers, where we can bring in those, the microorganism that we talked about is not just in the terms of food, but we can also bring in this microorganism for the production of biofertilizer used in our, which is adapted to our environment and used in our food system. So, to make it more sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So, sorry, Niranjan sir, so I have a question for you. So, sir, what mechanisms do you think are needed to elevate Eastern Himalayan conservation practices into global climate and biodiversity frameworks? So, we are turning back to conservation again.
I think the first session was a very good example, including this, of how mechanisms such as this, a forum, right, is required. So this is a perfect example of what mechanism should exist. It is about bringing economy, it's about bringing people, and it's about bringing nature. The nexus of these three things, we often don't discuss this. We I think, are siloed. if it is a forester, it's about trees, wildlife, species, it's about agriculture, it's other things, but in between we have people, right? And people have a relationship both with nature as well as with economy. So I think that nexus needs to be brought much more prominently, and this needs to be discussed on a regular basis. So I see this naturenomics as one of the very good example of how this can be elevated. At the end of the day, it is the partnership. Yes, we need to respect the traditional knowledge system, but we also need to face the reality of what modern economy looks like and what modern economy will become like. Right? Today we are talking about AI. We don't know where AI is going to take us. Is it going to be a sustainable world? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, it's going to be a totally chaotic world. So these are some of the challenging times that we are facing. But having said that, I don't know how many of you would recall, but perhaps I think this is something that you all could look at it. We had what we call Eastern Himalaya Living, LHI basically, Living Landscape Initiative, and that was a partnership between 3 WWF office, or more, I think. It was mainly about bringing these Eastern Himalayan countries together to discuss on issues like food security, biodiversity, energy security, and water security. That was done. That was like many years ago, which concluded in 2011, and I think that kind of provided a framework of what this collaboration between these countries in Eastern Himalaya needs to discuss on a regular basis, and that I think is happening. Like I said, naturenomics as being part of the platform. And again, picking from there, what we are also now discussing with, not discussing, I think we launched last year. I don't know if you're aware, last year we had this Global Tiger Financing Landscape Conference in Bhutan. And during that period, during that time, myself, accompanied by the CEO of WWF India, Mr. Ravi Singh, and of course my colleagues from WWF Nepal, together we came together to launch a program or an initiative, what we call Greater Himalaya Transboundary Landscape Cooperations. The idea being, of course, to connect all the protected area landscape, that's one, but at the same time to connect the cultural landscape between the 3 countries. At the moment it's confined to 3 countries, right? So I think these are some of the practical, let's say, approaches that needs to be taken, and of course we are inviting partners to do that. But at the end of the day, I think it's really about connecting business with people, connecting economy with nature, connecting. So this nexus needs to come together. If we at any point do not discuss the issues in relationship of these 3 things, because at the end of the day, I'm a conservationist. What do I want in terms of my life to be? I want a beautiful house, nice, comfortable house, good income. These are basic aspirations of everyone, even the foresters, the policymakers, the business. No matter even if you're an avid activist on the ground, you need these things, right? And for this to happen in a sustainable manner, we need to bring this, this nexus together so that we understand the ecosystem. We need to understand how business people think. We need to understand how conservationists think. And we need to understand the need of the people, that are caught in between these 2, instantly, opposing, directions, sometimes. So I think, so in gist, have this sort of discussions, have this kind of platform. I really like the example of how, Tata, Starbucks is now trying to connect that, bringing this whole ecosystem. I saw an example of where Tata now, the Starbucks business, the coffee business, because at one point, we had a scenario where, okay, you are a farmer, you produce coffee, that's the end of your business. From there, we take it. And that's how, they do it. But increasingly, people are realizing the importance of business being closer to communities, and of course, learning from the communities as well. But at the same time, making sure that the concern of, sustainability is being addressed at the same time. I hope I answered.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Thank you so much. So I'm going to wrap up the session soon. So Mahesh sir, so since we talked about economy, ecosystem, and as a skill expertise for you, do you have any example or stories of yours which you can put forward as a message for the youth here?
Just I want to say here, if we want to, establish a skill ecosystem in the Northeast, then we have to follow few things. The step number one, we have to identify our natural resources and indigenous knowledge. And just like indigenous knowledge, we can say the bamboo industries, and there are so many other things also. And the second steps, so now, after identifying the indigenous knowledge, now we have to convert this indigenous knowledge into skills, or we have to set the competencies. And the third point, or when we talk about the set the skills, the role of the university is very big. University has to take this initiative, talk to local communities, redesign, and then, convert all these things into the syllabus. The third thing, that is industry. How the industry, convert all these skills into a job. And just I gave the example earlier also, the solar installation, right? There are so many bamboo industries here also. So, and the fourth, that is a government support. Without the government support, nothing can be possible. The government has to, formulate the policies. The government has to work with the universities. They have to fund the projects. So a lot of things are there. Just I want to say one thing more here. That is, the university can provide the knowledge, they can train the youth, and the industry basically, they can provide the opportunity in the real world. And somehow, when industry and the academia work together, then definitely they can produce industry-ready, the students. And just if I'm giving the example of my universities, we are going to launch a new program that is a 3-month course in the homestay operation. And before launching this particular program, we have already started the brainstorming. We called some homestay maker to our university, or sometime we discussed with them what are the problems they are facing. And we are trying to identify the gaps. And we are trying our best to include those gaps in our curriculum. And once we, design the curriculum, again, we go back to, the homestay operators or the tour operators, right? We discuss with them, these are the skills which we are including in our syllabus. These are our training modules. And once they say it is okay, then we launch the program. At the same time, we also discuss with the some good homestay owners. Now, because there are some homestay, they are big, they can take 2-3 people. Can we convert these skills into the jobs? So now in this way, if the university work, if the university design their curriculum, definitely student will get the jobs.
Thank you so much, sir. So I'm going to ask the last question of this session to Monica ma'am. So ma'am, as a frontline forest officer, who's you've been with the realities of the government, governance, enforcement, and community partnership, what message do you have for the youth here?
Yes. Vipanshi, over the last 2 years, we had conducted several competitions for the students. I think some of the school students from here also have participated, mostly painting and drawing. So, and which are based on the topic of conservation. So when I see those paintings, what I saw was something more than colors and shapes. I've seen their unique way of understanding nature, their unique vision towards conservation. So what I believe is this vision of these students should be linked with the shared knowledge of the elders. And I think that is where we make right steps towards conservation. And to all the students and researchers, I've met many researchers from Royal Global University who are doing several different kinds, very wide, very research in the forest. But I would say very firmly to them, I think the basis of your research or the basis of your knowledge should start from your roots. So go back to your roots, gain the knowledge, and I think that would be a very strong foundation to your research and to your knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So we understand it's the roots where we have to have the impact from the society, the social impact, and the community ownership. So as we close, a few threads stand out. Community-led conservation, youth skilling for green economies, indigenous food systems, and frontline forest governance are no longer local experiments. They are global necessities. So if the world is looking for nature-positive development, this region is ready with a manual, as we say, the diverse panel here. So the question is, who will help transition this into an action? So with this, I thank my panelists here and the organizers, and it's a wrap. Thank you.